You're the Florida version of Sex in the City, JD.
That's when I was smoking my cigars.
Never stop chasing your dreams.
And never say never.
Don't be an asshole today.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hey,
How are you?
How are you?
Doing great. Oh, you got your little fan.
Yes, I got this on the night I came. It was a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
I'm 98% Sicilian, so that meant a lot to me. And,
I'm only 50.
and we had such a great time. My niece, Joni Cox Henry, is in the media. She's she worked for Sun Sentinel for many years, and she came to cover the show for her blog that night. But
Yeah, she interviewed me. We had such a good chat. She asked me so many fun questions.
Oh, yeah, she's amazing. She's a pro.
Yeah.
And my co-host, Denise, who lives in London, is actually in Coral Springs, Florida, traveling to Coral Springs, Florida today.
Oh, that's in our show.
Yeah, to see her mom. Usually there are two of us. The other thing is I want to mention your names. Adam Graber plays Rose, and Vince Kelley plays Blanche. I'm so excited to have you here because I enjoyed that show so much. I'm coming back on Sunday with 12 women.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for coming. That is so great. Thank you. It'll be a totally different show, we promise.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I'm bringing, most of us are lesbians, so there's going to be 12 Golden Girl. Some of them are like over 80, so it's going to be an amazing, fun time for everyone. Yeah,
I love it. You'll have to go stop at the merch booth and get backstage passes for all the girls so they can come up and take a picture like you guys did.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we would love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to the early show on Sunday or the later show?
The matinee, the early.
All right, yeah.
Perfect.
I'll tell Danny. Danny works the merch. He's the guy in the sparkly jacket. Just go tell him that Vince said to give you the bracelets, and he'll make sure you get them, and then you guys come take a big picture with us.
Oh my God, thank you so much. We will be there. They're going to be so excited because we got these tickets as soon as I knew about the show. And my friend's mom is celebrating her 85th birthday. So we'll be there. It's going to be fun. Yeah.
I love that.
Yes, I love performing for our target demographic.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so refreshing.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, speaking about the meet and greet, what I loved was your graciousness, that you guys were so nice to, just let everyone come on the stage and get near you, actually. It's many people are so unapproachable with this, when they're in the arts and performing on a stage, and to be on the stage with the furniture. I mean, everything was so authentic. That was just such a huge part of the experience. As someone,
it's cool. It's almost like you get to walk into your television. So I think it's such a fun opportunity. We love we love doing things that are different, and there's not a lot of other shows that will let you come up on stage and sit on the couch and meet the cast in that way. So we love that we get to offer that.
Yeah, I think it's a different experience too, with everyone being such a fan with the following that it does have and the relationship that they have with the show, especially with us as the actors. I think it does have a little bit of a different environment as far as our relationship with the audience and our relationship with the show. So I think it creates a little bit more of a fun atmosphere and appreciation for everything that we have going on.
For sure. The audience is like the sixth member of the cast, so we love that they get to come on stage too at the end.
I love that. And that is so absolutely right on target. And you, as a fan of the show, because I watched the show on its first run, I have so many questions for you guys, but as a fan of the show, you got the accents, you got the voices spot on. Like, how much studying does that take as an actor to get that, to embody that? Because that was just, like I said, as a fan of the show, it's such a huge part. you close your eyes and you feel like it's Rose and it's Blanche and it's Dorothy and Sophia. How was that experience for you?
I think everyone kind of takes their own journey to it. And I think it's, like Christopher, who plays Sophia, he is really just playing his grandmother. So like his path to Sophia is maybe a little closer, than some of our other ones. And Ryan does have this lower baritone voice, so he gets the benefit of that and stuff like that. I mean, for me, I think Adam has the hardest job to do because Betty White's voice is so specific and was literally just created by her for this little character. It's such a specific little place. So, I mean, if you want to talk about your process.
I mean, it really was going back to the show itself and watching every little detail that Betty White brings to the character. And it's not only just like really looking at what Betty White did with it, but also looking at the spirit of the character itself and breaking down every single thing. Because yes, I have to get this accent down, but there's something about the accent that is like the easiest part, as opposed to living freely within the character to be able to riff off of everybody.
Yeah, because the improv is what makes it hard. Like you can learn a song and you know all the notes, but when you start going crazy and talking to the audience and we're making jokes with each other, you really have to be that much more locked in. Mm-hmm. But I love that you said that, the accents were really good, because it's so important for us that we have those accents down. Because now that you've seen the show, do you think that if we were saying the lines that we were saying and in the scenarios that we were in without having the accents perfect, that the audience would enjoy it? Like, we're super serious about how ridiculous the show is. So we know that if the accents aren't perfect, they're not going to go along with us when we're saying, BBC.
I think that, people would enjoy it absolutely either way, but it just brings it to a whole nother level, because you close your eyes. When you started speaking as Rose, I turned to Joni and I was like, oh my God, he sounds just like her. Like, it wasn't even just the accent, it was the tone, it was just the way you were speaking, because she's so naive, and you got that. And then Vince with Blanche, that was also such a you got that southern, but her southern accent and the way she's so flirtatious and such a vamp, like totally, that was such a huge part of it. And Sophia, that is, Sophia was played by Christopher Cam.
That's right, yeah.
He was also, I mean, every one of you were just like spot on. Like I said, Dorothy, I mentioned Dorothy before. And the other thing I wanted to mention were the wigs. Do you do your own, like, I'm sure you have costume people doing that, makeup and costume, or, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I do all the costumes. We do have a wig designer. His name's Dan. He's based out of Detroit, so he kind of built all the wigs. But when you get on the road, you're kind of in charge of your own wig. Adam here again has the most heavy work to do, because he does put his wig through. It takes a lick and he keeps on ticking every night. So Adam's in the dressing room with his little foam rollers and his little blow dryer, making sure that she looks good every day. But yeah, it really is a big part of it. It is that full head to toe transformation. Yeah.
That is
funny. Everyone's wig is kind of like from a different season. So the way that it comes together, like Ryan's wig as Dorothy is very like season 1, and my wig is very like season 6. And so it's funny how like it all, and Christopher's is like, it's an empty nest pretty much. Like, so it's a totally different show. So yeah.
That's an interesting fact. I'm going to notice that. I have to take notice of that on Sunday when I come back for the second viewing about the different seasons. Dorothy's hair in particular changed a lot each season.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Her hair got more very like 90s specific towards the end, and it just wasn't a look that, it kind of took you out of it. It needed to be a little bit more generic for Ryan, to get that character across, so that you weren't just thinking of the hair,
I think it's like the most iconic looks that you remember from the show.
Yeah.
Is what was chosen for the designs for the characters. And I think that really resonates with the audience more so.
Absolutely. I find it amazing that you take care of that on your own because I guess that's true when you're on the road. It's hard to keep that going with having a crew coming and doing that at the last minute. Where is this tour going next? Like, how long has this been running, and how has this tour been as far as the
Yeah, Adam and I have had the pleasure of being with the show since its conception. So it's about 2 years since its, proof of concept performances in Baltimore. And we've done very different, we did weekend sit downs at big Broadway houses. We did a bus and truck tour where it was a new city every single day, every night in a new place, hop on the bus. We've done longer sit downs, like we are now in Fort Lauderdale and Chicago and stuff. So next up, we're headed to Jacksonville for a week-long sit-down up in Jacksonville. And then we have a few more cities as we head to Phoenix, Arizona. So we'll be there for 2 weeks. And then
British Columbia.
We're going international.
Wow. I
We'll
love
be in
that.
Columbia for a month, Vancouver, and some surrounding areas there, which is really exciting because we haven't gone international before. So we're excited to see what those fans, we have an idea of how they feel about the Golden Girls, but I think it'll be super fun to see like what the Canadians.
Yeah, our social media is really popping with that. Like we can tell when there are our international fans of the show who are really excited about our show. They'll comment on our things, being like, "Oh, come to the UK, come to Australia." I don't know, just about that. Do that. But Canada is well within the.
Yeah, Canada, we can handle that one pretty easily. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, well, they were that show was just totally global. Probably in Japan, I'm sure there's a Rose in speaking in Japanese, I think that that this has got to be an amazing experience for you, especially being so young. Like, were you even born when the show was out the first time? You all of you were in the show.
I think we're kind of split on that as far as this conversation goes. So I debuted the same year as the Golden Girls. I was born in 1985. Literally, it premiered weeks before my birthday. So by the time I was like 5, 6, 7, it was on in real time. And I remember watching with my grandma and stuff like that. I called it the old lady show. So I have kind of always grown up with it, and I think what's fun is that you also grew up with it, just on the Hallmark Channel, or on Hulu,
TV Land.
Yeah. That's right.
So it really does stand the test of time. It's a multi-generational show that it never stopped playing. It's still playing. It's on streaming now.
Yeah.
Like I have just as much exposure to it than
the merchandise,
right.
Socks and hats and all of this kids' toys and stuff. I mean, it's just bigger than ever. Cruises, conventions.
Yeah, I think that was I read when the show started, obviously the first season, they didn't know if this show about 4 older women would be received well by people out watching TV in their living room. And it was a surprise, I think, to the people, every one of the people involved, that show became such a huge hit. And as you said, it continued. It is still even bigger. It became a classic and it's iconic. And I was thinking about it the other day. They covered so many topics that would be controversial back in the 80s when it started.
Absolutely.
I mean, I
think that the magic of that, they're being able to do that, is because it was packaged as these 4 older women who society, as I'm sure you know, I don't have to tell you this part, you can get overlooked if that's your demographic and stuff. They can easily say, especially an actress in Hollywood, they're like, your time is done, you should be having this. So I think that by packaging those issues at that time in that wonderful comedic, heartfelt, 4 amazing juggernaut performers was a really easy way to get those things across. And I think we kind of try to find that same recipe when our show came along. We're 4 men playing the roles, but the words that we're saying aren't going to sound the same if they were done by female actresses who were playing, you know, the Golden Girls or something. So we kind of took that recipe of them saying like, we can get away with saying this and you're going to still get the message. So that's kind of why our show looks the way it does. We wanted people to still get that message of the Golden Girls, but in a fun, you know, raunchy, over the top way. And that's why we are playing those parts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is totally not lost on the audience. And I would probably say, I mean, I was only at the one show, but would you say that a large percentage, like maybe 75% or plus, are people who who are big fans that watched it the first time and get all of the references? There were so many references to the show as far as lines and even Rose's bunny slippers, like in the original show, because I call the Golden Girls my friends inside the TV. I've called them that for years because I'll just have it running, right? Because it's always on somewhere. But now, especially with it streaming, and so I don't believe if you were a person watching the show back then, or even now, you never saw Rose's bunny slippers, but she referenced them in one of the episodes. So you have to really be a fan to know that she referenced that was in the episode when they all had to sleep in the same bed because the air conditioning or something wasn't working, and then the heat wasn't working, and then Rose put the air conditioner on by accident. And
I think they showed that helped for the that or something. Yeah, and I mean that's really what we like to say, that Christopher Sophia is our dramaturge, because he is like the super fan. We all love the show, grew up with it, but he is like the super fan. So he's the one. We're out to dinner or something, and it'll be, you know, somebody will say, "Oh my God, that tree over there is so crazy," and he's like, "That reminds me of an episode actually. In season 5, episode 3, you know, there was a tree that came through the window," and you're like, "Christopher, turn it off." So he's like, yeah. So he's a great resource for that. But I think that's what you know, because we get to do these meet and greets and we get to see these people. You know, we'll have people come up and say, "I've never seen the show, but I loved your show." And then we always say like, "Yep, the show is just like this. Yep, the TV show is exactly the same." So we say that, but then there's people that come up and go, "I was sitting in the last row and I saw that little exclamation mark on the door because that was a, you know, lore from the show." So we make sure that we don't go too inside baseball where it's just lines from the show, that we're only servicing one type of fan. We want to make sure that everybody who comes in, whatever your relationship is with the Golden Girls, that you're going to come in and have something, you know, to enjoy and laugh at. And
that is so true. You know, the exclamation point on the door, I'm glad you brought that up. I looked that up many years ago because I wondered what that was. Was it something that just happened, or did it mean something? I don't think there was any meaning to that exclamation.
No, from what I've read in like the Golden Girls Forever book, which is a great resource, it was just they wanted this very specific type of wood that was popular in Miami at the time, but it was super expensive, so they just had somebody paint it to look like this type of wood, and that was just a detail from the paint that then became this, like, you know, lore of the show. So yeah, like that, the lobster jello mold, like things like that. We always make sure that we have for our super fans so that they can, you know, we want them to think that they're looking at the set as much as they possibly can, you know.
Oh, you know where they went to find these particular items? I mean, I think the couch was exactly like the couch on the show. Like, do they have pretty close made for the show? Or?
No, I bought it on Facebook Marketplace. I also do. I'm a very design-oriented person, and I'm also bossy. So, like, the set is, like, I do all the set dressing, and I, like, sourced all that furniture and stuff like that. So I like to really have an eye for detail. So, like, yeah, we found that fabric, which is made on this website, and we had it covered and stuff, and we try to get everything as close as possible. It's so fun for the meet and greet because people get to come up, and especially in the kitchen, you know, like, there's that little baker's rack in the kitchen, and I have it filled with a cabbage soup tureen because they had it on the show. The citrus plate, you know, like we really hone in.
And I feel like it's always getting updated because I feel like you're always on a constant search for things that are even more of an exact replica.
I love shopping.
Things are just keep getting put into the set that are more exact details.
I'm addicted to eBay. And costumes too. The costumes are super fluid. So like you more than anybody. Adam's had like more costumes than anybody else because I was able to like research what brands the customers used for the show. So I look for those brands on eBay. When I find one in our size, I buy it and we put it into the show as soon as possible. So we really love the show, and that's just like a whole other way to express how much we love the show, is making sure that, you know, we're putting in all that detail so that everybody can get this authentic experience with their favorite TV show.
I love that you do that. I feel like you guys are really enjoying doing the show. Like you having the best time, which is another reason why that transcends to the audience, because you feel that you're enjoying it, you're having a great time, and people feel it even more. I could see that you guys really enjoy doing this show. When I got the tickets originally, I did not know that it was in drag. So it was such an extra plus when I found that out, because I just heard there's a Golden Girls play coming to the Broward Center. And I was like, oh, wow, we have to get tickets. My friend's inside the TV, blah, blah, blah. And then I found out it was in drag, and wow, did that bring it to a whole other level of how much fun is this going to be?
Yeah. I wish that everyone had that same feeling as you. But here's what I will say. So we have a lot of people, they'll see the poster for the show. They have no idea that we are men, which I think is a testament to our makeup skills.
Absolutely.
And then they'll come to the show and they'll realize that we're men. Maybe it's in the middle of the first scene, they'll be like, wait a minute, something's not right here. But I will say that 9 times out of 10, those people stay. And I think that it's a testament to the Golden Girls, because I think that if the Golden Girls can be the spoonful of sugar that can maybe get somebody who drag isn't for them, or they don't think that female impersonation or what we're doing is their type of entertainment, but they do love the Golden Girls. So if the Golden Girls can be the conduit to get you in the theater and watch our show and be like, oh my God, this was so much fun. I had such a good time. I didn't know that I would enjoy this performance, but the Golden Girls got you in the door. That's like such a testament of everything that those actresses and the writers on that show stood for. And I think that that's great.
It's a good,
absolutely
great.
Yeah.
They covered transgender issues. They covered gay LGBTQ plus issues across the board. They covered AIDS. They had an episode where a little boy had AIDS. I think they, you know, that's what I was saying before, for the time being in the 80s, they took a lot of risks covering topics that a lot of other television shows didn't want to take, especially comedies, sitcoms.
Yeah.
So, and again, being 4 older women, not knowing how that whole scenario would take place. In fact, in the 90s, when Sex and the City came out, they said the Golden Girls were like the older version of Sex and the City. And when I started watching that show, I didn't really watch Sex and the City until like it was having its 20th anniversary. I watched it a little bit, but I wasn't a big fan of the show until it came on HBO Max, and I started watching it. I could totally see it. There was almost like a character for each one.
Oh, we say it all the time. I mean, Golden Girls, the format that, you know, Susan Harris was able to create has been replicated successfully so many times. Designing Women in its own time was
right.
You know, was a thing, and Girlfriends and Sex and the City and stuff. So I think, you know, all of those shows have this great formula that the Golden Girls kind of invented, and then did it so well that it is able to be duplicated.
Exactly. And I believe that's why it has stood the test of time through all of these years, because it was so excellently done, and it just I think resonates with everyone in some way. Something about it will resonate with people.
Absolutely. You can identify with other characters, even if it's yourself, or maybe that's your mom, or that's your grandma, or that's your aunt. You know, you can find those characteristics in all those people, and it, you know.
And yeah, and like with what you were saying with the issues that they took on, identifying not only with the characters but also with the issues that may have that they brought up and dealt with, I think really puts a lens on how things are done as far as like the people who resonate with it, like our community just like really eating it up because they felt like this was something that represented them.
Chosen family.
Yeah, on a stage, a world stage, broadcasting, whatever. And I think that's what really resonated with what we're doing now.
Yeah, that is so true. I also wanted to mention, Vince, that I noticed your heels were way higher than any heels Blanche ever wore. I was very impressed with the shoes you were wearing.
Thank you. That's a personal choice. That is so. As much as I love an attention to detail, I also love looking like a huge bitch. So those are just my everyday shoes.
You gotta play to the back.
Yeah. Everything's bigger.
Well, the reason I mention that is that I think that what you said earlier, this play being that you're men, that's and it seems like it's just a bigger version of what the show was like, being that it's in drag. So the fact that her heels are higher was a plus.
Yeah, the heels are bigger, the hair is bigger,
the hair, right.
Shoulder pads are doubled, you know.
It was just a huge plus for me. And but even like you had, as far as her costume, those stretchy pants that she used to wear with the thing that goes stirrups. Yeah, wow, that was just and the backless. I forget what they call those shoes.
Mules, yep.
The mules.
Yep, my mules. I love my mules. Do you know what's one of my favorite costume pieces? So I wear a robe in the show. They were known for their sleeping wear. You know, it was a big part of the show. They spend a lot of time in their robes and pajamas and stuff. And Blanche's character wore pretty much exclusively. It was Miss Dior. It was a diffusion line of Christian Dior. Maybe that's a little outside of our budget. So I tried my best to duplicate that. So a robe that I found, it's like a floral print. It kind of looks like Blanche's bedroom. That is from Rue McClanahan, had her own line called A Touch of Rue that she sold on QVC in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. And that piece is from her collection.
Wow.
So that was such a lucky find for me, and I love that. It's my favorite costume piece of mine in the whole show, and it's from Rue McClanahan's own line. Wow.
The attention to detail is so impressive that you all are taking to make this show top level. I think that, I mean, like you asked me before about the accents, I think all of this is what makes this play so much, just you want to see it again. I am so happy I am able to come and see it again.
That's great.
Yeah, when I saw how many weeks it was playing in Fort Lauderdale, I knew we'd be able to hit at least one day. So that's how I was able to get all of these 12 women together to come. And we have like third row seats. We're going to be right in the front, so you're going to hear it.
Oh, we'll see. Yeah. I said earlier, I wasn't kidding. When we said you're going to do a different show, I mean, a big part of why we still love the show so much is that we've been given this amazing freedom to really make the show our own every night. If there's something happening in the world, like, we're going to talk about it in the show that night.
We love topical.
That's we love regional. We love making the show more about Fort Lauderdale so that the people in the audience really feel like it's a special, like we crafted this tonight just for them.
And that's the joy of having the year of 2024.
Oh, yeah.
That is the whole point.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about
these new things.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about making jokes that were funny in the early 90s. You know, we're keeping it as up to date as we possibly can. And it keeps the show so fun for us because, like, I don't know what Adam's going to say it sometimes. I have no idea what he's going to say. So I'm locked in, I'm tuned in, I'm ready for whatever's going to happen. We never really go like on autopilot.
I got the feeling that there was some improv going on the show during the play, and that's always so extra special because I think it makes the reaction of the other actors so authentic, you know.
Yeah.
As much as you guys are already so authentic to the show. Is there a lot of improv that goes on where you guys like to surprise each other and
Oh yeah, I
shock
mean,
value?
there's some things that you also like can't ignore. Whether it's something happening in the audience that like the audience can't ignore, it's a cell phone going off.
Oh,
And, you know,
right.
people who go to the theater, they love it if someone gets called out because of their cell phone.
Yeah.
Everyone feels the same way.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
can get a laugh about it and
Yeah.
then move on. Or, we hear the same jokes every single night.
But the
So-
audience responds to them in a different way, so that's also fun. Like if we tell a joke that we've told 15 times and it gets a wildly different reaction, we're gonna talk about it on stage with each other. So yeah. I think it's fun, and then literally what's so fun about being here so long is that once we get to know the area more, we start making more jokes about Fort Lauderdale, Wilton Manors, we really will tie it into where we are, which is super fun. But yeah, there's quite a bit of that.
Yeah, it's always looking for the opportunity for a joke to happen, which can always result in such a fun time on the stage, especially with the chemistry we have on stage.
Mhm.
Or if it bombs, which is really the best. Like sometimes we'll think that we got a real winner in our back pocket, and if we bomb a joke, we'll just totally bomb a joke, and then that's its own joke, and then we'll be laughing about that for 5 minutes about how bad it went. And the audience, for some reason, loves that. I don't know.
Yeah, you really can't tell us that we aren't gonna have a bad time because we can turn anything into a good time.
Absolutely, yeah.
I can see that. I was wishing I could come and hang out with you guys when you were in Wilton Manors. Jen had invited Joni and I to come to the meet and greet you did at Rosie's.
Oh my
I
gosh!
couldn't get away that day, and neither could Joni. It was too short of notice to get away from work, but I was so wanting to go. I said, this is probably going to be such a fun afternoon, hanging out.
Rosie's
So crazy.
Rosie's is so good.
Oh my
Great
God.
food, amazing
And
cocktails.
drinks. Yeah, they made us mocktails like till we were blue in the face. It was so good. The owner was an absolute gentleman. He was so nice.
Such
we
a
had such a
gem.
good time. They were so welcoming.
Yes, I will say though, we went out into the sun, and that's where I melted.
Ugh.
Oh, God.
I thought we were gonna lose them. I thought we were gonna lose them that
I
day.
do have like a sweating issue, so like being in all of that drag, and we were like walking down the street, I was like, oh my god, my
It was
makeup,
next- it was
my
next
makeup.
level.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you went and dragged to Rosie's? Oh,
Oh yeah, we did. We were
Oh,
padded. We were padded to the gods.
2 pairs of pantyhose. Oh yeah.
wow. Yeah, I guess that would be the best way to promo the show. True, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. Oh, yeah, I would imagine it was hot that day too. Yeah.
Not a cloud in the sky.
Do you perform drag other than the play, like before you did the play?
We had done other things when we were
Theatrically.
female personator. Yeah, we both actually played Angel in Rent, which is canonically
As a drag character.
Yeah, as a drag character. Yeah, drag
Yeah.
persona. So yeah, we've done other shows where we were female impersonating. We really don't. I mean, I know it's such a semantic, but like we don't even like to use that we don't like to use the word drag because to me in my community, drag is this whole other thing where like they are these political fighting figures who like have a whole persona, and
Right.
we're just reading a script and playing a character. So
Right.
we have so much respect for them that we just like to say we're just female impersonators. We read a script, we play a very specific character. It's not like I don't go out on. I'm not going to go to Hunters as Blanche Devereaux and tell jokes and stuff.
Yeah. I understand that. I could see where you would. It does, especially nowadays, sometimes have a negative connotation.
For sure, but for the greater public, But then at the same time, here we are in Florida, where the things that have happened in the last few years. So if I'm going to say that I'm doing drag because that means what it is, then I'll proudly say that that's what we're doing because we stand with all of those performers and then all that stuff. So it is like a fine line, especially when you get somewhere like Florida, which is where we're at.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I got to tell you that anyone that I mention to about the play, first I'll say, oh, there's a Golden Girls play that's coming before about a month ago when we got the tickets, and I was trying to get a whole group together. Every one of those people, when I added, and it's in drag, they were like, oh, cool. Like that was a big plus for every person I told. how much fun is this going to be? So I just want you guys to know that you're very well received down here with the unfortunate politics that have been going on in Florida. It's still in an individual situation.
For sure.
Yeah.
In this case, and I mean, again, and that means a lot, and that we do appreciate hearing that, especially when we come down here. And we obviously have to thank the Broward Center for taking that risk and that responsibility of making sure that the show was well advertised, and they're not hiding anything like that. So, I mean, if there's any way that we play like a small part in making sure that everybody knows that there's nothing to fear, we're just here to have a good time, that's like incredibly important to all of the actors in the show.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to hear you're going up to Jacksonville because, we always say you have to go north to get to the south when you're in South Florida, because we're all New York, New York, New Jersey, down here. The closer you get to Jacksonville, now you're in the south. So I'm glad that you guys are going to be going up that way too, because that's covering the gamut almost of. Have you hit the West Coast? Are you going to be hitting the West Coast of Florida?
We did. Well, we did
Los Angeles and
West Coast of Florida or West Coast?
The West Coast of Florida.
We did. We did Tampa. We did Fort Myers. We also went up to
Strasburg. Is that
no, in the Panhandle. We did one.
Sarasota?
No.
We were in Sarasota.
Well, yeah, we were in Sarasota, but that's not what I'm thinking. But we were. What is that beach called?
Oh, I got that haircut.
That's like the the Floribama area, right?
Yes, we were right on like the Floribama line.
We stayed in Mobile, and then the next day we went over into Florida, the Panhandle, and we did a show in.
I can't think of it either. I can't think of it.
No, Gainesville is near Ocala.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but here's what else. So like. Adam has because we all wear a lot of hats in the show. Adam works on the social media and stuff, and we went to Alabama, Kentucky. I mean, we went to some places that when you hear those things in our position, you maybe get a little afraid. And on social media, we were receiving a lot of pushback, a lot of hate, a lot of stuff that wasn't weren't happy to hear it. But this is on social media.
Yeah.
So by the time we were at these shows.
They came out. People were coming to our meet and greets and saying, "Thank you so much for coming."
The bark was so much worse than the bite, and because they don't have those opportunities to get this type of entertainment, because maybe other production companies maybe are a little afraid, or maybe they don't think that there'll be anything to sell. And again, we have the added bonus of having the wonderful Golden Girls name to kind of push us over the finish line. But when we were in these places, they were so appreciative. They loved the show and they ate it up, and they came and they sold out the shows, and then they came to meet and greet, and they were again so happy. And these are, allies, people who are just, straight women who are like, this is so much fun and yada yada. Or then the other aspect would be, these wonderful lesbians. It's always lesbians are so supportive because they have their shit together and they can afford a ticket.
And I think a lot of it is like husbands that didn't even know that they enjoyed this kind of thing.
Exactly. And so they're coming out and they're just so appreciative that we were able to do it. So we look at Jacksonville, and I think at first we're a little like, okay, all right, we're going to do it. And then I think when we're like, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring them a great show. We're going to show them a great time. They can't see this anywhere else. So let's bring it to them. So yeah, we get excited about those opportunities. Here's the thing, I'll be honest. We were in Chicago for 6 weeks, and we had some of the worst shows that we've done in 2 years because those people take it for granted, really, and they just were. Yeah, they're like, I can go see this on any corner at any bar, So it is kind of interesting. You think you just want to be performing for your own people, but at the end of the day, now that we've had this opportunity to really see up, down, left, right, red, blue, all that kind of stuff, it was full of a lot of surprises.
I love that. I mean, I think it's an absolute testimony to the fact that you guys are enjoying what you're doing so much. You bring such a beautiful energy to the show that people can't help but love it. And you're now changing minds, possibly, absolutely doing that and bringing people together that otherwise might not have been accepting or open to seeing a show in drag. And also it's a lot of times I find people, as far as the haters on the social media, and then the bark is not is the bark is worse than the bite, as you said.
Yeah.
Because people want to be so brave behind a keyboard, but
100%.
then they're not in person. And then also when what you bring to it, that energy, that light, that fun, you can't help but just have a great time. And so
Yeah. I have this one particular little story. I don't know where we were, but we're doing the meet and greet. I'm sitting next to Adam, and I see this man, and he looks like every stereotype that I do not want to interact with. On a if I'm dressed like this, I wouldn't want to interact with him, let alone dressed in full get up. And I was going to Adam. I said, I don't want to meet this man. He hated the show so much. I saw him in the audience and he had a sour face, and why is he even here? Why is he doing this meet and greet? Is he being forced? Like, I was almost nervous. And he came up to this meet and greet and could not have been more gracious. And he loved the show, and he had such a good time. He was there with his wife and his daughter, and they just couldn't have had more fun. And they were so excited to meet us, and he loves the show. But I mean, looking at him, I was terrified. And and I was so surprised, and it was like a big, I think, turning point for me into like, I've always been, don't judge a book by its cover, the kind of person, but sometimes you do just use your eyes.
Absolutely.
And what's going to happen, and could not have been more gracious. So it was super, super. So I try to remember that every time I get a little anxiety about something, that you really never know what's going to happen.
What an amazing feeling that is when it happens. I'm a
literally, after when we were done with the meet and greet, we all went in the back, and we all like took a minute, and we were like, you guys, that was crazy. Like, we all felt it. It was crazy.
That's awesome. I'm a musician, and I know that feeling of when I have a band, and I know that feeling when you see someone. I had an experience similar to that, where there was this old lady that sat in the front, and we were playing it was like a festival in the opening of a shopping center in Boca. And so, and I'm like, why is she sitting right in the front, right by the speakers? She's going to definitely say we're too loud. She's going to hate this music. We were doing like Southern rock. It wasn't like crazy, but at the end of the show, she came over to me and said, I had the best time. I hardly ever get out. Thank you for giving me such a joyful evening. And the person I thought that was going to complain about us being too loud and hate the music, like much like your experience, was the one that came over and said how much she loved it. So,
yeah, I love that. What do you play? Wait. Let's go back. What do you play?
Well, I play, I would call it acoustic rocks, like singer-songwriter rock. Very.
Are you the singer?
The lead singer.
Yes, I sing.
Oh.
And I write my own music. And whenever I get the opportunity to do shows with my original music, I prefer to do that. But down here in South Florida, it's really, if you're not doing the covers, you're probably not selling tickets.
Yeah.
So I do a 70s, a Women of the 70s. I cover Women of the 70s. I do a show like Stevie Nicks, Joan Jett, Carly Simon,
Janis Joplin.
all that
Do you
stuff.
have a whole band behind you, or is it just you?
I have a band.
Amazing.
I play solo acoustic depending on the situation. And my original music is very similar to Carly Simon, Melissa Etheridge, Stevie Nicks. I call, for lack of a better word, I call it acoustic Americana rock, but I do it with a band. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I know that feeling when you play a show and you don't know how you're going to be received. When I was playing in Nashville, I got to play at Bluebird, which everyone that's a singer-songwriter wants to play their own.
Historic, yeah. What a story, yeah.
And I was so worried they weren't going to like me because I went the night before to see the show the night before, and that's an all-original venue. And I said to my friend, I don't look or sound like any of these women. They're all little blonde farm girls, like one of an Italian girl from New York, And the next day I played and they loved it. It was a great show. It was a really nice surprise to be well received where you think you're not going to be. So for
Absolutely.
different
I
reasons.
mean, it really just comes down to like how much fun that you have. I think when they say fun is infectious, it really
Yes.
is, especially in a live setting. Like you just can't help to have fun along with someone else who is enjoying themselves.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's our whole thing. We know that if we're not having fun, the audience is going to have fun, and then it's like, why are any of us here?
Exactly. Right. Well, I am so appreciative that you came on the show today. I was so excited when you accepted and Jen said it was happening. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I want to tell you that I cannot wait for Sunday. We're probably gonna go, I think it's the second or third row, 12 women, some of us lesbian, some of us not, but we're all loud and we're going to be range of ages all the way up to 85. So I look forward to I look
Well,
forward
thank you so much. We're looking forward to seeing you again.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
And thank you for bringing your friends.
Thank you for
Oh,
bringing your
yes,
friends.
yes.
And make sure you go see Danny too. You have to. We want to see. I want that 85-year-old woman on my lap for a picture.
I'm going to bring her up there and she will be. Thank you so much for being on the show. I will see you on Sunday, and we're going to PR this a lot. We're going to get this out there right away so that way people will start, I mean, I think you guys are selling out great anyway, but we're going to get
Every little bit helps.
Yeah,
we're going to get the word out about the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
For being
you.
on the show. Thank you
Thank you
for
for
being a
being
friend.
You got it. Babe.
Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. My addiction. And I confess, my addiction is you. Don't ask me why I'm here tonight. I had to take this midnight drive to find you. And as I come in through the door, I see her dancing on the floor beside you. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. You look at me and in my eyes you see the hurt I can't disguise. I want you. And though it seems I look right through, I'm noticing your every move. She's got you. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. You're my addiction. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. I turn away to mask the pain, but jealousy reveals my rage and madness. And knowing you can read my mind consumes me in a shameful kind of sadness. Why do you always run back to the lover you once knew? You're addicted to her touch, that's true. And I confess, my addiction is you. much, that's true.